Greetings. As the newly elected United African National Council President, the Reverend Dr. Gunyai Muzera presented the party's 8 fundamental pillars through which Zimbabwe's economy and social-political climate would be totally transformed. With a standing ovation, the Uanc delegates from all the provinces embraced and blessed the party's proposed permanent solution to the nation's prolonged economic ailment.
Greetings, Zimbabweans at home and in diaspora. I humbly accept the nomination to the presidency of the Uanc and the candidate for Zimbabwe in 2018. I feel I am qualified and competent enough to carry this office to your satisfaction. My vision for Zimbabwe as a party leader is exceeded by my vision for Zimbabwe as a president. And so today I just want to share with you how I envision myself leading this nation to economic success. To do this, I have 8 pillars that I will share with you. Number 1, genuine democratic governance. Number 2, macroeconomic stability. Number 3, adequate social services, primarily education, health, and housing. 4, infrastructure investment and rehabilitation. 5, agriculture, including fair land redistribution, productivity, and audit. 6, resuscitating the manufacturing industry. 7, improved natural resource management. And 8, a favorable climate for the services sector. Of course, these pillars are linked to each other. Please note that although other parties may regurgitate these pillars, the difference is that they fail to deliver due to their lack of the requisite spirit, the spirit of integrity and honesty, transparency and accountability, caring and due diligence necessary to execute this. I maintain that only servant leadership will serve the nation well, especially at this economic juncture. And this is precisely what distinguishes the Uanc servant leadership government from other parties, making it unique, reliable, and trustworthy. On that note, as long as the current discussions among most opposition parties are dwelling on anything other than solving the economic quagmire and leadership, the Uanc has little or no interest in such idle talk. However, Uanc welcomes other parties who desire to focus on policies that will transform our economy and build national solidarity, prosperity, and power at the grassroots level throughout the SADC region. Since Zimbabwe cannot operate as an economic island, there is need for economic and political connectivity. We got our political independence through help from other countries, surrounding countries. Therefore, when we want to build our economy, we should conceptualize the economic development in terms of the whole SADC region. This is what we mean by Pan-Africanism. I believe God blessed SADC with minerals, with good climate and good soil, and therefore we should utilize these in community, not in isolation. History reminds us that Muzorewa's uniting spirit gave us a victory over the Pierce Commission in 1972 and majority rule in 1979. So 1980, it did not drop from the sky. People were detained for it. People were jailed for it. People died for it. Therefore, we must treasure this heritage. We must commit ourselves to this legacy of our independence. It is therefore incumbent upon us to jealously guard our legacy and national identity and pride. Solidarity got Dr. Joshua Nkomo, Mr. Robert Mugabe, Reverend Dabaningi Sitole, and others out of jail when servant leadership insisted on justice, fraternal and political solidarity. Unfortunately, this spirit of solidarity was clearly missing in the GNU and is still lacking in the current coalition and code discussions, not to mention ZANU-PF's succession nightmare. In our political diversity, we can be united in developing our national economy, but we got to have servant leadership that will facilitate such political culture and environment. To the ruling party and the rest of us, I say, let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in democracy, believe also in 2018 elections. Voter apathy can only perpetuate the current economic system, which has proved a failure. Implementing these 8 pillars will in no time wipe out the nagging and chronic cash shortages and will no doubt reverse the current economic trajectory. With a parliament-approved code, viewed from a long-term perspective, these pillars will create a strong economy for our country. Secondly, guided by these pillars, the UANC government pledges that Zimbabwe will never have to experience hyperinflation again, because my leadership would insist on accountability, transparency, responsible fiscal management, mutually acceptable labor laws favoring both the workers and those who own the means of production. Thirdly, queuing for cash at the banks will be a thing of the past when the UANC takes charge. My fellow Zimbabweans, our nation is facing new economic frontiers. Therefore, we call for not just economic revolution, but leadership that is intentionally willing to seriously develop the nation. Leadership that puts the nation on a path to economic prosperity. Leadership that puts Zimbabwe in a winning position in the economic sector. However, this calls for servant leadership, dedicated to build the nation's infrastructure, morale, and a renewed sense of nationhood. My leadership will not allow Zimbabwe to be a laughing stock on the continent. Unfortunately, presently we are experiencing the prevailing self-centeredness among most of our national leaders and their apparent self-aggrandizement agendas and motives, as evidenced in the demise of the GNU Code, ZANU-PF, and so forth. One would have expected that these problems would not arise in a country that is based on Pan-Africanism. My leadership insists on Pan-Africanism values informed by our African communalism and our commitment to solidarity. It is fairly obvious that the GNU failed to yield the anticipated results, largely due to this lack of commitment to nationhood. In hindsight, GNU players admit that they could have done better. It is fairly obvious that the GNU failed to yield anticipated results, largely due to this lack of commitment to nationhood. Needless to say, greed, looting, and corruption that has led the nation to bleed economically does not build economic system that is sound. One solution is servant leadership. We believe that Zimbabwe should be led by a person that has integrity, that is honest, that is committed to the nation's prosperity. This, my fellow citizens, is what the UANC leadership will deliver. That said, we salute all our liberation war heroes and heroines for delivering our nation from colonialism. While we cannot thank them enough for their sacrifice, it is now common knowledge that ZANU-PF government has failed in various facets of leadership. Do I need to remind you that we don't have our own currency even though we are a sovereign state? We all know that we are having this problem. What is needed is leadership that can turn this around by way of inviting foreign direct investors and inviting morals in the country, in the business world, inviting people who are upright to lead the nation in a transparent manner. Elected to govern this country, the UANC government will set up a council of advisors to guide it in its economic policies, because wisdom tells us that economics is a discipline that most nationalists and politicians have to learn, have to be advised. Today, it's too late to remind our Minister of Finance that economics is different from the law system, is different from other disciplines. However, the reality is that Zimbabwe is looking for more transparency, more accountability, and more integrity in our activities in order to serve the country well. At the same time, ZANU-PF party was brooding and hatching factionalism, the same time that MDC was having splits among themselves and so forth. All this time should have been spent on revamping the nation's economy, which at that time had hit the world's highest hyperinflation digits. The UANC government will take the economy of this place as the number one priority, and therefore will work flat out to bring all the standards of good business into the nation. One of the things that Zimbabwe doesn't have is a parliament-approved investment code. This is what assures any investor that if they invest in Zimbabwe, their investment is safe and secure because it is protected by the law. The UANC has come back now. Why? It has come back now because it has come to redeem the nation by bringing back the nation's national values and ideals, such as 1, national solidarity and the power to the people through servant leadership, and not factionalism and endless, fruitless power struggle. 2, industriousness and black economic empowerment, and not unemployment, vendorism, non-productivity, and grabbing other people's business. 3, intellectual property and material prosperity, and not abject poverty and intellectual bankruptcy. 4, moral and spiritual uprightness, and not moral decadence and corruption, really stealing, Kuba. 5, fair land redistribution, productivity, and effective audit, and not using land to buy votes and in lieu of wages. 6, genuine freedom, peace, unity, ethnic inclusivity, and not violence, patronage, intimidation, and verbal tribal battles. 7, justice for all, and not subservience of the citizens by the ruling party. Fortunately, Because Zimbabweans are smart, they know what they want in life, and so they will choose the UANC because it is capable of creating an economic environment conducive to economic growth and development. Thus, the UANC is the answer to Zimbabwe's voters' dilemma in 2018. Thank you.